Sometimes being a father, being a husband is that means lost a job.
Lovely viewers, gather around because what I'm about to share with you today feels like something straight out of a drama script, but with the added twist of real emotions, real history, and real people we've been following for years. This is one of those moments where you pause and think, wait, did that really happen? Could it be possible that after all the misunderstandings, heartbreak, and media storms, we might finally be seeing a crack of light through the clouds? Yes, we're talking about the news that Song Joong-ki's family, after years of cold distance and complicated emotions, has extended an invitation to none other than Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo. And not just for a casual tea, but for what's being described as a reconciliation gathering. Let's walk through this slowly because the details are rich, the stakes are high, and the emotional undercurrents are intense. Now, if you've been following the tangled timeline of these stars, you already know the history is not just about romance. It's about public perception, personal pride, and the emotional scars left behind. Song Hye Kyo and Song Joong-ki, once hailed as the song couple of the century, had the kind of love story that captured the hearts of millions, only for it to collapse in a divorce that shocked the entire entertainment industry. The reasons? Speculations ran wild. Differences in personality, long-distance filming schedules, meddling from family, even whispered third-party involvement, but neither of them ever fully revealed the truth. And then, in an unexpected twist of fate, Song Hye Kyo found herself in a new chapter with Lee Min-ho, the man whose romantic gestures, open devotion, and undeniable charisma brought a whole different energy into her life. For fans, this was like watching two different drama storylines collide into one unpredictable narrative. So imagine the ripples through the fandoms when the news started to leak. A formal invite, sent from Song Joong-ki's family to both Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo, asking them to come together for an evening that, according to insiders, would be private, heartfelt, and hopefully healing. My lovely viewers, do you feel the tension already? 'Cause I do. This isn't just about having dinner. It's about decades of intertwined history, lingering emotions, and the possibility that the past doesn't have to define the future. Let's visualize the moment. The location chosen is said to be a private countryside estate belonging to Song Joong-ki's parents. This isn't some lavish hotel ballroom where paparazzi could camp out at the entrance. This is a place tucked away from the chaos of the city, surrounded by fields, gardens, and just enough tranquility to make deep conversations possible. The invitation reportedly came in the form of a handwritten letter, which already says so much. In an age of texts, DMs, and formal PR statements, a handwritten note feels intentional. Feels like a gesture of sincerity. Sources claim that the letter addressed both Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo directly, acknowledging the awkwardness and possible discomfort, but emphasizing the family's wish to set aside bitterness and find a path to mutual respect. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. Lee Min-ho apparently insisted that the decision to attend be made entirely by Song Hye Kyo. Think about that. This man who has publicly supported her in every way didn't want to pressure her into a situation that could reopen old wounds. He reportedly told her, "If you feel it's right, we'll go. If you don't, we stay home. Your comfort comes first." That's a level of emotional intelligence and respect that fans have been praising him for since the news broke. But Hye Kyo, ever the graceful and composed figure, was said to have taken a few days to think it over before finally agreeing. Not for gossip, not for the cameras, but because deep down she understands that some moments in life are about closure, not just for you but for everyone involved. Lovely viewers, picture the day of the meeting. The sun is just beginning to set, casting a soft golden glow over the estate. The air carries that crisp countryside freshness that makes you breathe a little deeper. Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo arrive together in a discreet black car, their attire understated but elegant. Nothing flashy, nothing to draw unnecessary attention. She's wearing a soft cream blouse with subtle pearl accents, her hair styled loosely around her shoulders, while he's in a simple navy sweater and tailored slacks, projecting warmth and humility. When they step out, there's no swarm of photographers, no blinding flashes, just a few members of the family waiting by the doorway. Now here's the part that had me clutching my heart. The first person to greet them is none other than Song Joong-ki's mother. If you recall, she was once rumored to be less than enthusiastic about her son's relationship with Hye Kyo during their marriage, adding fuel to theories that family pressure played a role in their split. But this time her expression is open, even emotional. She steps forward, takes Hye Kyo's hands and simply says, "Thank you for coming." No grand speeches, no awkward formalities, just a quiet acknowledgement that means more than words can express. Inside, the atmosphere is carefully set to be as warm as possible. The dining table isn't overly decorated. Just a vase of fresh flowers from the garden, plates of homemade dishes, and the faint aroma of tea in the air. The family members exchange polite smiles, and while there's still a faint undercurrent of tension, it's softened by the shared understanding that everyone present has endured their own kind of heartache. Lee Min-ho, ever the gentleman, takes his seat beside Hye Kyo but spends much of the evening engaging in light conversation with Joong Ki's father and brother, easing the mood with small jokes and attentive listening. It's his way of showing respect, not dominating the moment, but being fully present. And yes, for those wondering, Song Joong Ki himself is there. That's right. He's seated across the table, dressed simply. His demeanor calm but observant. He's not avoiding eye contact, but he's also not forcing it. For much of the evening, the conversation stays on safe topics: travel, food, family updates, until eventually the inevitable happens. At one point, Joong Ki looks directly at Hye Kyo and says, "I hope you've been well." It's simple, but it's a sentence weighted with years of unsaid emotions. Hye Kyo, without hesitation, replies, "I have. And I hope the same for you." It's not dramatic, it's human. In that moment, you can almost feel the invisible thread between them loosening, not breaking entirely, but no longer tangled in resentment. For fans, this entire scene feels almost surreal, because it's so rare to see public figures at this level taking steps toward reconciliation in such an intimate, private setting. The internet, of course, has exploded with reactions. Some are touched, some skeptical, some worried it might reopen old wounds. But here's the thing, lovely viewers. Sometimes peace isn't about erasing the past, it's about finding a way to live alongside it without letting it poison the present. By the end of the evening, something remarkable happens. As they prepare to leave, Lee Min-ho shakes hands with each member of the family, expressing gratitude for the warm welcome. And then, just before they step out into the night, Joong Ki's father says to Min-ho, "Take care of her. She deserves it." Those 6 words, according to an insider, carried the weight of a blessing, a subtle but undeniable acknowledgement that the past is in the past, and the future is open. As the car drives away, Hye Kyo is said to have leaned her head against Min-ho's shoulder, exhaling deeply, as if a part of her had been holding her breath for years. And Min-ho, he simply reached for her hand, laced their fingers together and said, "I'm proud of you." No cameras, no audience. Just the quiet strength of 2 people navigating a moment that could have gone in so many different directions, but somehow landed on grace. Lovely viewers, whether you're a fan of Hye Kyo, Min-ho, Joong Ki, or just a believer in the idea that time can heal even the deepest cuts, this story is a reminder that reconciliation doesn't always mean rekindling what was lost. It can simply mean finding peace. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough. Because at the end of the day, the world doesn't need more bitterness. It needs more moments where people choose to sit at the same table, share a meal, and let the walls come down, even if only for a night. If you ask me, what happened here is more than just a celebrity headline. It's a glimpse into the humanity behind the fame, the kind of thing that gives all of us hope for our own broken connections. And perhaps, in their own quiet way, these 3 have just written a new chapter, one where the past is acknowledged, the present is respected, and the future is approached with open hearts. And isn't that the kind of ending we all secretly root for? Lee Min-ho and Song Hye Kyo has unfolded like a carefully written novel, full of subtle gestures, unspoken messages, and moments that feel like turning pages toward something new. You might think the dinner was the end of the chapter, but in reality, it was only the prologue to what has since become a quiet but powerful shift in the way these 3 live and interact with the world around them. First, let's talk about the days immediately after. Neither Lee Min-ho, Song Hye Kyo, nor Song Joong Ki posted anything public about the meeting. No cryptic captions, no black and white photos with loaded quotes, no sudden unfollowing or following on social media. Just silence. And in that silence, the media went wild. Paparazzi who were used to feeding on conflict had nothing tangible to work with, so they began relying on body language experts and relationship analysts to break down what little information they could scrape together from second-hand sources. But those who were actually present that evening were tight-lipped, which only fueled curiosity further. And then came the small, almost invisible ripple effects. A week later, sharp-eyed fans noticed that both Lee Min-ho and Song Joong Ki had liked the same charity's Instagram post about children's education. Coincidence? Maybe. But for fans who have followed every online move for years, it felt significant. This was the first time in ages that their public digital footprints had overlapped. It wasn't a photo of them together. It wasn't even a direct interaction, but it hinted at a shared willingness to support something greater than themselves, a subtle way of saying, we can coexist. Behind the scenes, something else was brewing. According to one reliable insider, the dinner had sparked a follow-up plan. Not a grand reconciliation event, but a smaller, more intimate coffee gathering in Seoul involving only the three of them, away from family, away from friends. The point: to speak openly, without the careful politeness of a family dinner, and address the human parts of their shared history. The insider claimed that Min-ho was the one who quietly suggested it to Hye Kyo, telling her, if there's anything left unsaid between you and him, maybe it's better to let it out where no one else is listening. And Hye Kyo, after days of mulling it over, agreed. Lovely viewers, can you imagine that second meeting? A private room in a quiet cafe tucked into a backstreet of Hanamdong, where the staff knew better than to gossip, and the blinds were drawn just enough to keep curious eyes out. No fancy outfits this time. Min-ho in a simple baseball cap and hoodie, Joong in a plain jacket, Hye Kyo in a loose cardigan that looked as comfortable as it was understated. There were no cameras, no managers hovering, just three people who had once been bound together by love, loss, and the strange fate of celebrity, sitting across from each other with warm mugs between their hands. The conversation, according to the same insider, started slow. Small talk, comments about the weather, few safe questions about work. But then Joong broke the ice in the most unexpected way, by apologizing. Not a vague, publicist-approved apology, but a genuine, personal one. He admitted that during their marriage, he hadn't always handled the pressure well, and that he regretted how quickly they'd let outsiders influence their dynamic. Hye Kyo listened quietly, her eyes steady, before acknowledging her own part, that she too had closed herself off in moments when she should have been more open. It wasn't about pointing fingers anymore. It was about understanding. And Min-ho, he didn't speak much at first, choosing to let them have their space. But when he did, it was with a calm steadiness. He told Joong that he respected the history they shared, and that he had no intention of erasing it or pretending it didn't matter. What matters, he said, is that we all move forward in a way that's healthy for everyone. Those words, by all accounts, shifted the atmosphere in the room. The tension melted. Not completely, but enough for a faint ease to settle in. In the days after this private cafe meeting, subtle signs began to appear that the air between them had truly cleared. A staff member from a high-profile award ceremony later revealed that both Joong and Min-ho had been confirmed to attend the same upcoming event. And not only that, but they had agreed to be seated at the same table. For the entertainment industry, that was huge. Seating arrangements at these events are carefully planned, and in past years, organizers had bent over backward to keep certain stars apart. But this time there was no such request. It was as if they were telling the world, we're fine now. You don't have to tiptoe around us. The fans, of course, were ecstatic. On social media, hashtags like #PeaceAtLast, #SongJoongKaliMinho, and #MatureHearts began trending, with countless edits, fan art, and even heartfelt letters being posted to encourage this newfound harmony. One particularly touching fan message read, "Seeing them choose respect over rivalry gives me hope for my own relationships. Thank you for showing us that letting go of grudges doesn't make you weak. It makes you free." And here's the most inclusive part of all this. It's not just about the three of them anymore. This ripple effect has extended to their circles. Friends who had been split between loyalties are now reconnecting. Brands that had hesitated to work with certain names together are now opening up to collaborations. And even fan communities that once engaged in endless wars online are starting to merge into shared spaces of appreciation. Lovely viewers, think about it. How rare is it to see such a shift in this industry? In most cases, grudges are permanent, relationships remain frosty, and the public never sees anything resembling closure. But here, we're watching a story that has evolved from heartbreak to healing, from awkward avoidance to a cautious but genuine coexistence. And while no one is saying they'll become best friends or hang out every weekend, the fact that they've created an environment where they can be in the same room without tension, where family dinners and coffee conversations can happen without drama, is nothing short of remarkable. I can already picture the next milestone. An award show moment where Joong congratulates Min-ho and Hye Kyo with a handshake, or a charity event where all three pose in the same group photo. Not for publicity, not for ratings, but as living proof that sometimes, with time, maturity, and the willingness to listen, peace really is possible.